Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Tuplex. So, phase 1 is complete, and I finished kind of decorating and cleaning up the base a bit, or the factory, whatever you want to call it. I moved my doggos over here, or at least one of them. I think the other one escaped. Hey, stators, neat. Maybe that door is not going to work. Now I got to find the other one. Okay, well, hopefully he'll turn... Oh, there he is. Hey, you. Ooh, cooling system. Nice, those are worth a few points. All right, come here, buddy. Over here. Let's go. Good doggo. Okay, there we go. Sometimes they have trouble following, so you gotta... Alright, let me put an actual foundation piece there. It seemed like they could either trigger that door to open or just walk through it or something. I don't know. But anyway, this'll keep them in place, I hope. All right. Yeah, and then I cleaned up some of the rest of it. I added some walls around the perimeter to hide some of the belts and so forth. But anyway, we're ready to move on. Now, my main concern right now is that we are burning through biofuel at an alarming rate. We're consuming 418 megawatts, which is nearly flat out for our current setup. I took a bunch of the alien bits that I had accumulated, and I'm turning those into biomass right now because they have a pretty good conversion ratio. So if I underclock this thing to 8%, I get 120 a minute. Each alien protein makes 100 biomass. So this will help. And I also have some wood. I've been just running around this area, chopping down many trees. And they don't grow back, by the way. So what I'm hoping to do is get coal power set up as quickly as possible. Hopefully before we run out of fuel, because I'm guessing that I probably don't have more than an hour of fuel to keep this base running. Now, I do have a lot of stuff accumulated, so if it shuts down, it's not really going to be a huge problem, but I would prefer to keep it running nonstop. So, let's talk about building a power plant. Two things I want to do. I want to get a power plant set up for coal power so that we can stop burning biofuel. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to get a minimal steel production going so that we can start making steel parts. We'll need to unlock basic steel production in order to do that, but we'll work on the coal power first. So let's take a look at the plan for the power. Or actually, let's look at the map. Where's my map? Here we go. Okay, so here's us. This is our base as it is now. And on this map, I am showing iron ore and coal. So the coal that I mentioned before is up here. There are 2 normal nodes and 2 impure nodes. So not really the best place to set up a coal power plant, just because of the impure nodes. They're kind of inefficient to use, but it's a good start and it's fairly close. So we're going to go up here and we'll set up our coal power because we have water, we have coal. Now I'm just going to use these normal nodes for the power, and then these 2 impure nodes, I'm going to save these to start making some steel, which takes coal and iron. And we have some pure iron nodes around the corner here. So we can use one of these iron nodes and these 2 to start building up a little bit of coal power. Right, so with 2 normal nodes of coal, we'll be able to run 8 coal generators, which will give us 600 megawatts. And then we'll need 4 water extractors I'm going to underclock the water extractors, and I'll explain why when we get down there. And then as far as the steel production that I want to get going, just a simple setup. You know, again, 2 inferior nodes or 2 impure nodes. We're going to have to overclock them to 150%. Because I want to get 90 coal, and then we'll underclock one of the iron nodes to get 90 iron. That'll go into 2 foundries, which make steel ingots, and then we'll have 1 machine making steel beams, 1 machine making steel pipes. So this is the immediate goal. And then once this is done, then we'll start to flesh out the grand plan for the rest of phase 2. So to get this started, I'm just going to go up there to where the coal is via Shoe Leather Express, as my father would say. And I'm going to drag a power pole behind me the whole way. First, let's make sure that we have enough stuff. I'm going to want 8 of these. 7, 8. I'm going to want 4 water extractors. Yeah, I should have everything. And then to build pipes, we need copper sheets. And I've got some copper sheets. Yeah, so I think I've got enough stuff with me that we should be able to build all this and come out ahead. But first, let me drop some of this extra stuff into the sink. Like those cooling units I just found, those are going in the sink. Those will give me a lot of points. And I'll throw the stators in there as well. I'm also throwing some other junk. What I've been doing is, like, when these containers fill up, I just grab a bunch and then throw them in the sink. Just as a way to make a few points here and there. So, anyway, let's head over there. Whoops. All right, so we'll scan for coal just to get a heading. I think it's going to be like north and a little bit west. And then we'll bring power along with us. Yeah. Now, in this phase, we'll be able to unlock the large power towers. So I'll replace this with proper cabling and infrastructure as soon as we unlock it. But for now, we can just use the regular power poles. So I'll see you when we get there. Okay, so this is where the coal is. If we scan again, those are the 2 impure nodes, and then over there, those are the 2 normal nodes that we're going to use for our power. All right, so there's that. We got a Mercer sphere over here that we'll want to harvest. So let's grab that.
Our instruments echo in the deep. Do they not plug the shallow threads?
Can you hear me?
Crescendo, the effigy found the key. Sing more.
I was not created for artistic purposes. I am incapable of singing.
You sing.
Noted.
Okay, so here we are. This is the first coal node. So what I'll do is I'll get it set up using this coal node first. The other one is up there, and I'll have to build some elevators or something. But we can get some power running right away using this coal node, and then that will give some relief to our overworked biofuel plant. So let me throw some foundation on there. All right, and that should be yeah, that's on the grid. We'll put a Mark 1 miner. Guess we'll point it that way. Get rid of those. Okay. And we'll run this out that way. Now, what I intend to do is build this platform out over the water, because that'll make it easier to get the water extracted and fed into the generators, and it'll also give us plenty of room to move around, because these coal setups tend to get a little bit large. So yeah, actually, let's just get rid of this section. That should be fine. And then maybe here I will jog over one. Let's get rid of that. I suppose I could just go over that boulder, but yeah, we'll just build out right here. Okay. So let's build a platform. And we're gonna want to go 4 or 5 tiles deep. Now this thing, oh yeah, I can get rid of it. Awesome. Okay. Good. I wasn't sure if I could destroy that or not, but that definitely gives me some more space. Okay, so we'll have our coal come down this tile. And we'll start setting up our generators here. All right, coal power generator. So as you can see, these are rather large. And I'm gonna give myself plenty of room here. Yeah, let's extend this by one more. Okay. And I want the inputs on that side. And I'll just bring this up close to the edge, right about there. How to do it. And we'll align it with that first tile. All right, so there's one.
Interesting, most pioneers already had coal power set up by this point because they understood their responsibility to humanity.
Sure they did.
Adjusting pioneer attitude metrics. Reminder, coal-powered generators require coal.
Sometimes I think she doesn't respect me very much. All right. One more. Okay, so that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coal generators. And if you take a close look at these, you'll see that they generate 75 megawatts each. They consume 45 cubic meters a minute of water. And the fuel, it's hard to see until you actually put some fuel inside, but I think we're going to be looking at 15 coal per minute, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll set up some lifts to bring in the coal. Like so. And for now, we'll have 60 coal coming out of that miner, and we'll feed the first 4 of these. All right, so let's have our input right there. 3 and 4. Now, we will be upgrading this power plant over time, because, you know, obviously we have the opportunity to overclock the miners That'll give us more coal. We'll have the opportunity in this phase actually to unlock Mark II miners, which give us double the output. That'll help quite a bit. So even though we're starting with just 8, I think eventually we'll be able to run 24 of these generators, perhaps even more by the time that we're done. Okay, so that takes care of the coal inputs, and then we're going to need a couple things for the water. So I'm going to have a pipeline running parallel here, and I'm just going to place these junctions. You can think of these kind of like splitters for fluids, if you want to think in those terms. And again, right now I'm just going to get the first 4 of these up and running, and then we'll continue from there. And then we have the pipeline Mark 1.
Fix-it pipelines can contain any fluids, including the water necessary for coal-powered generators. Note: water does not flow upwards by itself. While water extractors provide some lift, to truly defy gravity, consider the use of pipeline pumps.
Okay, now that's an important point, lift. And I'll cover that here shortly. But basically, and this is the reason why I wanted to build kind of like close to the water level, because then we don't need to use pumps to get the fluid high enough to run through these pipes. Okay, so once we have that in place, then we can place our water extractors. Okay, and as you might imagine, these just go out in the water. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let me put a pipe junction. Put one right there. So hopefully I'll be able to line up my first extractor with it. It'll help if I'm on top of it so I can see where I'm at better. Yeah, so there's one. And we'll put the second one there.
That may indeed be water. Try submerging your arm. If it does not dissolve, that will narrow down the range of possibilities. Or you could just pipe it to a coal-powered generator and see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I love this. I always end up falling in the drink. What am I trying to do here? Yeah. I want to connect this to that. There we go. Connecting pipes can sometimes be a bit finicky. Okay. All right. So now I have 2 extractors hooked up to 4 generators. And the reason for that is, like I said, these need 45 cubic meters per minute each. So that's 180 for the 4 generators, right? 45 times 4 is 180. One extractor makes 120. So one extractor can feed, let's see, less than 3 generators. But if we clock these to 75%, that'll give us 90 a minute, which feeds 2. And then this one feeds 2 as well at 75. Now, if you do your math, you'll be able to see that we can power 8 generators with 3 of these running at full speed, right? Because 8 generators will consume 360 a minute. 3 pumps will deliver 360 a minute. The problem is that the pipelines will only carry 300 a minute. So with 3 pumps at 100%, you still have to split it into 2 separate pipes to get it all to flow. So I found that it's easier for me if I just set up 2 of these extractors and connect them to 4 generators, and then I'll set up 2 more. I'll connect those to the next 4, and so on and so forth. To me, I think that's a little bit easier and simpler. All right, so we'll need to power the pumps. So let's get these connected to electricity. And we'll need to power our coal generator as well. And we'll need to bootstrap this. By that, what I mean is we need power to get the pumps running, and we need power to get the miner running. Change this to straight. Okay. So there's a few ways you can do that. One way is you can, if you have enough extra power at the current base, you know, at the current factory, we could just use that power to get these started. And then once the generators are fed with fuel and water, then you can get power coming out of the generators, and then you can shut down the original power supply. Let's see, I want that to go there, and then like that. Okay. So this should work here. I'm going to go ahead and extend this out yet again. Let's get rid of that fella. And then around back here, usually what I do is I just set up 1 power pole for each generator. But I'm not going to connect them yet. I'm not going to connect the generators to the power yet. Because before I do that, I want them to get full of coal and water before I connect them. Okay. So now all this is connected. So like I said, one option would be to connect it to our main factory's power. But I'm not sure that we have the power to spare, to be honest, because these are going to consume 20. So the water extractors are going to consume 40 megawatts, and then whatever the miner consumes, what is it, 5? Yeah, so I think we need 45 megawatts to get this running. 5 megawatts. Let's go check on our power and see how we're doing. Maybe I have enough spare capacity. We can try it, I suppose. Let's take a look here. Yeah. We have enough. If you didn't have enough, what you could do is just set up a couple of biofuel generators and feed them by hand, and then once you have enough water and coal flowing through your system, you can shut them off. But we'll do it this way, since I've already got power generation going. All right, so let's go. Give me the coal. All right, coal is flowing. And water is flowing. And you can tell the water is flowing because these little things on the pipes will start to pulsate. And they spread out as the flow increases. Right? Like down here, the water hasn't quite reached it. So So it takes a minute or two for the extractors to spin up, and then they have to fill up the pipes and all that stuff before things really get flowing. Now, the coal generators are different from the biofuel or the biomass burners in that they run continuously and they generate power continuously. I should move this pole slightly. Yeah, I'll leave it. So in other words, once they have fuel and water, they're going to provide 75 megawatts of power, whether we use it all or not. Just so you know. So it's not like the biofuel burners where if you're consuming less energy, they consume less energy. In this case, they'll consume the same amount of fuel, even if you're not using it. But since the fuel supply itself is infinite, it doesn't really matter to us. Like that's, it doesn't present a problem. We just have to wait for the fuel to get thrown in here. And then once we have a little bit of fuel, we'll be able to see better what the consumption rate is and the fuel types that are supported. You can feed these other types of fuel. Right now we only have coal, but there are alternate recipes to coal. For example, there's a recipe where you can combine coal and sulfur together to make compacted coal, which has higher fuel content, so you can run more generators with the same amount of coal if you add in some sulfur, you know, things of that nature. But for now, we're going to be using plain old coal. And now it's flowing in. And this is basically the reason I want these to fill up first is basically because of the manifold problem that I discussed in an earlier episode. Since I'm feeding these things exactly the quantity that they use, if I don't let them fill up first, then the last one or two generators on the line are going to be turning on and then shutting off and turning on and shutting off, because they'll constantly be running a little bit short. So if you let them all fill up first and then before you connect them to power, then that way you'll have a nice, steady, uninterrupted supply. Right, so coal, it gets consumed 15 a minute. I think it'll show us the other fuel types once we start it up. I think that's a bug, that this tooltip doesn't work all the time. But we can see that they're full of water, so that's good. Okay, so we'll let that run for a couple minutes, and while it's doing that, I will start setting up the other coal miner. Okay, so the belt has stopped moving, so that means they're all full. Let's get them hooked up so we can start running. While we were waiting for that, I ran the second line from the coal mine up there, and I did connect. Did I connect it? No, I didn't connect it yet. But I finished running the coal line to the second set of generators while we were waiting. So now I'll just come down to the end of the line and I'll start connecting these. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now we can take a look. Yeah, we still don't see any other supported fuel types. Maybe it's because I don't have any other ones unlocked yet. That could be why. But in any case, you can see it consuming water, consuming fuel. And we can see that our production capacity is now 750. Let me back away from these things. They're a little bit noisy. So now we have 750, which is the original 450 from our 15 biofuel generators, plus another 300 megawatts from these 4 coal generators. Now we are consuming more than 300 So what this means is the power grid will prioritize the coal power over the biomass power. So, so back at our main base, if we were watching right now, we would see that the biofuel generators are now going to start consuming. They're only going to consume enough to make the 90 to 100 megawatts that we need to make up the difference. Okay, so we're already making a big dent in our consumption of biofuel or biomass back home. All right, so let's connect this other miner so we can get that starting to produce, and we'll start to get the other 4 connected. And with all 8 of these running, that'll give us 600 megawatts of power, which is more than enough to run our current production without having to give it any fuel manually. Okay. And we can set up another couple of water extractors. There we go. Let's get these connected. Let's make a pipeline for these generators. And I was talking about lift earlier. And the need for pumps. There we go. So if we look at a water extractor running, can we see it? All right. Yeah, it doesn't show us a tooltip, but these water extractors can provide up to 10 meters of lift without any further assistance, which means that from there to they can go 10 meters vertically without having an external pump, up to 10 meters. In this case, we only have a rise of I don't know, maybe 3, possibly 4 meters here. So by doing that, we don't need any of these pipeline pumps. Now, if I wanted to, have this elevated higher, for example, then we might need a pump, in which case you would have to place the pump on the pipe, have it face the direction of the flow, and then you'd have to provide it power. And the reason I want to avoid using this is because if we can avoid the need for pumps, then that's going to save us 4 megawatts of power consumption that we can use to produce something. Okay, so this is all connected now. We need to clock these to 75% as we did before. 75%, okay. And then we can get these powered up. Okay, and like I said before, they take a minute or two to spin up and fill up the pipeline and everything. How's our coal coming along? Okay, the coal's just arriving. So we'll be able to, in a couple minutes here, we'll be able to fire up this second set of generators. But just like before, I'm going to, for the moment, I will run the power line, but I won't hook them up until they're full. All right, so I'll just hang out here for a few minutes and wait for these things to fill up, and then we'll get them connected. Okay, the second 4 generators are now full, so we can go ahead and power those up. 60 per minute sounds like a lot until you have to sit there and wait for 400 items to come through. All right. Lots of black smoke, that's a good sign. And all the generators are running. Right, so we can now see that we are producing 600 megawatts and we're consuming a little bit under 400. So we've got 200 megawatts to spare. And at this point, all of the biomass burners should not be consuming any fuel. So at this stage of the game, I breathe a small sigh of relief, as probably many of you will as well, because finally I don't have to worry about picking up sticks and leaves to send into my power supply. At this point, we really only will need sticks and leaves for making fuel for the chainsaw. Right, which we will continue to use throughout the game, but we're going to leave those biomass burners in place, just because they give us a bit of a buffer on our power consumption. So once we get to the point that we're, if we get to a point that we're nearly using if we get to the point that we're using all of the coal power and we still need a little bit more, then we have a little bit of extra with those biofuel burners, but this will be our main source of power for the immediate future. And at this point you can take your time doing stuff. You don't have to worry about your factory shutting down because it runs out of fuel, which is a luxury. So now that we have that set up, I'm going to run back to the main factory so that we can unlock steel production. And I am going to pick up leaves and sticks on my way back, just so that we can start to accumulate again some extra solid biofuel that we can use in our chainsaw. Fortunately, we don't have far to go. It's a little bit easier getting back because we can just jump off a cliff and glide down. Okay, here we are. Now let's go check on our biofuel. And we should be able to confirm that they are not consuming any power. Now they still show the animation as if they're consuming, but if you open them up and look, right, we can see that they're not burning any fuel, which is exactly what we want to see. All right. What? That's strange. All right. I'm going to change this recipe back to making biomass from mycelia. And I'll change the sign. And since I'm not so desperate for biomass. I'm going to save the animal protein to make DNA capsules. All right, so we'll throw in our leaves, we'll throw in the wood, and we'll throw in the mycelia. I'm going to store away some of the animal protein that I gathered. There's another Mercer sphere, which we will be using soon, thankfully. As soon as we get... Yeah, okay, we're good. All right, let's unlock steel. So, I want to unlock all these things really as soon as I can. This is an upgrade to our weapon, which is nice. This gives us a tractor that I honestly never make much use of. You can automate transportation and so forth, but I usually just wait until we get to trains. And then I want to get expanded power infrastructure so that we can build the power towers. But for that, we need encased steel beams or encased industrial beams, and that's going to come after we unlock a couple more things. We're also going to get access to blueprints quite soon, which is very nice. So, but for now, we want basic steel production. So let's see what we got here. Let's grab some more items. We're going to need some modular frames, which we have conveniently been producing. How am I doing on rotors? I'll grab some more. I like to just keep a stack of rotors on me. We need some wire. And we need more concrete. Always need more concrete. All right, that should do it.
Milestone reached. Coal and iron can be combined in the foundry to start steel production.
Okay, so now that we can make steel production, we have the foundry unlocked. This is what will make the steel ingots. I think that's the only new building. Let me take a look at this again. Yeah, that's the only new building. This also unlocks the versatile framework, which is one of the phase parts that we need for the space elevator. But the important thing is we get steel pipes, steel beams, and steel ingots. And we also have the ability to buy them from the shop if we so desire. Now, I have, you'll notice I have a couple hard drives in my inventory, and I've been holding on to those because up until now, I had already unlocked all of the possible recipes. And so if I would try to scan another hard drive, it wouldn't let me. But now that steel is unlocked, there should be alternate recipes for steel. So I am going to start scanning these hard drives again. And the other thing that I like that I see here is on this drive I can get inventory slots. I think I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm going to trade a hard drive for inventory slots. I don't know if that's a good buy or not, to be honest, but I definitely like having the inventory. And these other recipes, I'm just going to hold off on for now, because I don't really have a need for any of these, and I'll just leave them here so that the next drives that I scan are not going to pull up these same recipes. Okay. And if we go and look at our map, we can see that in our starting biome, I still have 1, 2, 3. I still have 3 more hard drives just in our starting biome that I haven't gotten yet. Right? This one needs copper sheet. This one needs rotors, and this one needs power. So in between episodes, I'm going to spend some time going around and gathering these hard drives and Mercer spheres and summer sloops from the starter area. Some of these are inside caves. That's what these yellow areas are. Like this one here, it's inside of a cave. The issue is that I can't get inside some of the caves right now because some of them are blocked with large boulders, and you can blow those things up once we get the Nobelisk detonator researched, which we will be able to do once we have steel pipe. Okay, so now that all this is underway, I'm going to run back to where the coal generators are, and we will set up a small steel production. Oh, look at that. Aluminum, turbo motors, tickets, baby. Get out of here. Yeah, so I'll drop that stuff off, and then I will see you over there at the power plant. Okay, so now we're close to where the power plant is. It's just down the hill over past that large tree over there. But this is the iron that we're going to be using for the steel. And as you can see, these are pure nodes. This is actually a great place to set up some production of iron-based goodies, because there are several of these pure iron nodes close by. But in our case, we are only going to use one to begin with. And what I'll do is I'll build a small foundation here, aligned to the grid, as always. Once our friend moves out of the way. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to underclock this one to 90 per minute, because that's all that we need. And I am going to start building a pathway to get this iron down to where the coal is. So I'll get this constructed, and then once I have this done and we have iron down where we need it, then we'll come back and do the build. So I'm using Mark II belt for this because we need 90 a minute, and Mark I is not enough to handle it. Let's see. Let's go out a little bit further, and then we'll drop down. I'm probably going to have to go back to get more. Yeah, I'm going to need more reinforced iron plate, most likely. I don't think I have enough to finish this job. All right. So I have the belt brought over, but not brought down yet. I need to go back for more reinforced iron plate. I'll be back. Okay. So I'll just grab another 4 stacks. That should be enough. And our drive finished scanning. So let's see what we got. Okay. Iron alloy ingot. That is potentially useful. This allows you to mix in a little bit of copper and get higher output of iron ingots. Wet concrete, this is something that I'm definitely going to want to get at some point. This allows you to mix limestone and water to make a boatload of concrete. Currently, we're using 3 limestone for 1 concrete, and with this recipe, you can use 3 limestone to get 2 concrete with the addition of some water. But you also need a machine that I don't currently have access to. So I'll just go ahead and start scanning the other drive. there's a recipe that I'm looking for called, what's it called? Solid steel ingot or something like that. Where rather than using iron ore and coal to make the steel ingots, you can use iron ingots and coal to make them more efficiently. Right, so you run your iron into a smelter, smelt the ingots, and then you send the ingots into the foundry. So it's an additional production step. I think it might use more power overall, but it definitely allows you to make more steel for a given amount of iron. All right, so I'm just going to head back and then we'll finish this up. All right. All right, so I'm starting to build my tower here, which of course is like right over top of a power pole. So I'm gonna do this so I can remove that. Okay. Now from here, you know, I'll want an elevator to bring this down, but you can see that by default, an elevator doesn't go all the way down. So you could either chain elevators, or there's a little trick that we can use. To get an elevator that goes farther without having a problem. And I'll show you how to do that here in a moment. What we can do is we can use the conveyor floor holes. I'm not sure if this ladder is going to be the right height. Yeah, it's a little too tall. I'll fix it in a bit. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll put a conveyor lift hole there. Make sure that's a Mark II, and press R to reverse the direction. There we go. We'll run that in there. All right, now let's build out our floor. Is that okay? Is that going to be too low? No, this should be fine. Looks like we'll be able to get... Yeah. I was just wondering whether this foundation was going to be too low, but looks like we'll have plenty of space here without running into an obstacle. All right. So what you do then is down below, you place your lift, and then you should be able to go all the way up. Or maybe I have to start up there. Or maybe it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, I thought that there was a way that you could get infinite height from one of these things. Maybe I just didn't have it in the right place. Ah, there we go. Right. Yeah, so if you get it in the right place, you can get infinite height as long as you're going up to one of those conveyor floor holes. Okay, so then we don't have to have like multiple conveyors or multiple elevators linked to one another, which looks kind of cheesy. Okay, good. So we've got the iron, and we'll hook up to the coal. So there's one coal node there, and there's another one right there. So according to our plan, we need two 2 foundries going into 2 constructors. So pretty simple. So we'll face these in the appropriate direction. And yeah, I'll just line them up there. There's 1 and there's 2. And we set these to steel ingots. Right, and as we can see, they each take 45 coal and 45 iron per minute. Now, in this case, we need 60 of those ingots to go to the steel beam and 30 to go to the pipes. So, so how do we want to do that? I'm gonna put a splitter in front of one of these. And a merger in front of the other. So that'll give us 60 for the steel pipes. And then I'll have another merger in front here. And this will receive 30. Yeah, let me, I'll put the other one there. No. There we go. Okay, so this will be steel pipe. That's going to take 30 a minute. And this will be steel beam. That will take 60 a minute. All right, and now we need to just hook up the iron and the coal. So we'll do iron on the ground level, and we'll do coal up above. So we'll use a simple splitter. Is that enough room? Yeah, that's good. All right, and then the coal we can feed in individually. I'm not even going to bother with a foundation because this is kind of temporary anyway. Once we get a better location for mass producing coal, we'll get that set up. But in any case, remember we have to overclock these. Oh, shucks. I need to find a slug for the other one. So this will give us 45 per minute. For that one. Okay, here comes the coal. There is a slug. Actually, there are a couple slugs close by. There's a purple slug way up there, but there's a blue slug over here someplace. So we'll go grab that here momentarily. Boom, there we go, making steel. Why'd you stop? Oh, okay. It'll take a minute. There we go. Okay, now let's get the, yeah, let's go grab that slug. You can see it right there. And remember, if you ever need a slug and you don't know where they are, you can use your object scanner to help locate them. I saw this one when I was over here setting things up, so I already knew where it was. So I'll just build a ladder. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then we'll get a crafting bench set up. There we go. Power shard. All right, and let's get this one going. Oh man, so close. All right, so we'll bring this over to here. I'll lift it up by 2. And then that should feed neatly into there. And we'll overclock that one. All right, so overclocking this 50% takes us to 8.5 megawatts instead of 5. So, all right, and then we just have to power up these 2 constructors. And now we're making steel pipes. And we are making steel beams. So let's just throw a couple containers in front of these guys. It would help if we connect them. Okay, good. So we got steel going now too. Check our power consumption. We're consuming 443. We're still well under the 600, so we're doing just fine. Now the other recipe completed. So one thing you might not know is you can have more than one MAM on the map. You can only have one hub. But workbenches and equipment workshops, MAMs, you can have as many as you want. So here we can see what the results are. Okay, and I didn't get the recipe I wanted, so I'm going to keep scanning stuff. But now we can start to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is getting these dimensional depots unlocked. Now that we're making pipe, and I have some of that, some of the SAM ore back at the base, we are going to start setting up some dimensional depots using our Mercer spheres, and that's going to make it so that we don't have to run around quite so much collecting materials, because we'll be able to using those dimensional depots, we'll be able to access stuff from anywhere. For example, this steel production we can have going into dimensional depots, and then anywhere we are in the world, we'll be able to pull it out of the cloud and get access to that inventory. So I'm looking forward to getting that set up. We'll start working on that in the next episode. Yeah, but for now, we made some huge steps forward. We're making steel. We've automated power production finally. We will be expanding that power production pretty soon because that 600 megawatts is not going to last us too long once we start building up the main factory for phase 2. So, but this is a really good start, and this is going to help us progress quickly. So until next time, thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see y'all soon.